Breaking news, another airman killed. 6-hour M18 updates here. This is really crazy because we had the initial report of an airman being killed on July 20th on F.E. Warren Air Base by his M18 with a story that never made any sense. We're going to do a little bit of an update on that, but now we have breaking news as of today, August 20th, exactly a month later, strangely enough. Another airman has died just outside of F.E. Warren Base in an apartment. So we're going to talk about this because this is just crazy. What is going on F.E. Warren Air Base is what I want to know. So I'm going to take you over here to the interwebs, and we're going to check out this news article out of the Air Force Times. Air Force makes arrest in airman shooting death involving M18 pistol. The Air Force has arrested an airman in connection with the July 20th death of another airman, which involved the 6-hour M18, and led to the service to suspend the use of the pistol following the incident. Now, it doesn't name who was arrested, but basically it says on Friday, the Department of Air Force spokesman said that the unidentified arrested person is accused of making a false official statement, obstruction of justice, and involuntary manslaughter. So the plot is much thicker, the plot thickens. This story got much more complex than the initial story of a security forces airman taking off his pistol, his M18, holstered, setting the holstered M18 on a console or a desk in front of him, pointing at him, and then it going off by itself and shooting him in the chest. That story never made any sense. We know that the P320/M18 platform has been experiencing a lot of issues, a lot of reports of uncommanded discharges, a lot of lawsuits, people dropping their contracts. Now you have all kinds of rumors going around the rumor mill of all these Koa Glocks that were going to go be shipped to like distributors are now pulled back. Allegedly, the story is that they're going to be for military use. We don't know yet. This is just all speculation. Generally I don't like to read the news and speculate, but this is really interesting. And I'm a former airman. I got a lot of ties to the Air Force still. I still go do training on my former duty base, Herbert Field, which I live a couple hours away from. And I still go for training there every once in a while. And I see the security forces. I see the young airmen formerly holding their M18s. I don't know if they still have them over there. I haven't been there in a couple of months. But yes, somebody was arrested. Now we have another death. This is hot off the press just today. Military.com. Airman accused of firing an AK-47 through apartment wall in the latest gun death near Wyoming base. Now, of course, this is not an M18 incident. This isn't a SIG-cident. But it begs the question, what is going on this air base? And now all these people are really young, but that doesn't matter. I mean, I was this age when I was in the Air Force and never had any issues. I never heard of anything like this ever happening. But airman at F.E. Warren Air Base has been criminally charged after allegedly firing an AK-47 assault rifle through an apartment wall and killing a man, police said, marking the second firearm death involving troops at the Wyoming installation in recent weeks. Now, this is August 20th. Today is August 20th. The last incident happened on July 20th, so coincidentally, exactly 1 month later. Coincidentally, July 20th also happens to be my basic training day. That's the day I arrived at Lackland Air Base in San Antonio, Texas to start basic training. But Jaden Orr, 20, arrested of voluntary manslaughter. Voluntary manslaughter. Very interesting. So Saturday morning, according to Cheyenne Police Department, Air Force officials reached out after the publication to say that the police department's online statement was incorrect and Orr was charged with involuntary manslaughter. Okay, so makes a little bit more sense. He is an airman with the 90th Missile Wing, a base spokesperson confirmed to military.com. Orr had allegedly been drinking at an apartment with friends and began handling a firearm in the bedroom. Now, it's been pointed out many times, alcohol and firearms don't really mix. I've been told that myself. I've been sitting here, in my man cave, doing a video, enjoying a beer before, and people had issues with me doing video work, drinking a beer with a gun in the room. So probably not a good idea to actually be handling firearms when you're drinking. I never do. But at some point, back from the article here, Orr picked up an AK-47 that was in the room, the Cheyenne Police Department said in a Facebook post. While manipulating the firearm, Orr charged it and fired it through the wall into the living room, striking the victim in the torso. So, negligent discharge. No additional details were publicly provided regarding the off-base incident, and an attorney for Orr could not be located online. So, public information officer for the Cheyenne Police Department did not respond, blah, 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 blah. So, officers found several people in front of the apartment building attempting to render medical aid to a 23-year-old male who had been shot, but he was ultimately declared dead at the scene. So, we don't really have any updates from the M18 incident, but it mentions it here. The weekend arrest and firearm death comes just weeks after security forces airman was killed by an M18 handgun on base, which resulted in the arrest of an unidentified person charged with involuntary manslaughter. So this is like really weird because you have two incidences. One is mysterious, I guess maybe because it's a little spicier, being that it has a military contract pistol involved. So a little bit more of a spicy meatball, if you will, as compared to, I mean, the Air Force doesn't use AK-47s, right? So, but really, really weird thing here. And just for the heck of it, when I was looking up this actual article, I found we just had another airman die. Air Force investigating airman's death during PT test. So what is going on in the Air Force, guys? Air Force has launched an investigation to the August 4th death of an airman in California during a physical training assessment. Airman First Class Siamukakonga Munga was conducting a PT test, which the service called routine, when he collapsed, the Air Force said. So, no more information here, conducting a standard investigation into Munga's death to find out what happened. Munga was assigned to the 346th Training Squadron at Port Hueneme in California. I'm not laughing at this airman's death. I am not. The amount of coincidences here is crazy to me because I trained on Port Hueneme Naval Base for almost a year in California for my technical training for the Air Force in one of those training squadrons. So this is all hitting very close to home for me. And, you know, just strange times. 3 airmen's stateside deaths within the span of a few weeks. So I don't know what's going on in the Air Force, but this SIG thing just got a little bit more complex. Of course, we still suspect that there might be issue with the Sig P320. All kinds of people are doing all kinds of things now on the internet where they're going in and manipulating the FCU, the fire control unit, and basically getting it to shake. And now there's all kinds of memes that it's the shake awake pistol, the M18, and just shake it and it's going to go off. But I don't know what's going on. I'm not a SIG hater. I stopped carrying SIG a couple years ago. I very faithfully carry a Glock now almost every day. And, you know, here's my prop gun here, right? This is my prop gun. This is my 6-hour P226 Legion. And I actually just added a light to this. This is pretty cool. I got a Surefire X300 for $90 from a pawn shop. So I was looking for a fitting weapons light for this, and I finally got one on there. But no hate for SIG, other than, you know, the P320 is a little sus at this point, and so we're not going to be messing with that. So anyway, just a little bit of a weird, strange coincidence. I don't know what's going on in the Air Force, but you know, I have a lot of ties to the Air Force. I went to Herbert Field just a few months ago for training. Saw the airmen standing there. You know, they're starting to look very young. I mean, technically, a lot of them are younger than when I went in, so I didn't even go until I was 20. But just a little bit of an update SIG video. We don't really have any updates other than now we have an investigation, which is, you know, more of an update than the last video I did on this where we didn't have an arrest yet, right? We have an arrest now. So again, the original story never made any sense. Airman taking it off, setting it on a desk in front of him and going off. I mean, even in the SIGcidents, that would have been strange because most of the SIGcidents have been while the actual person was moving, right? They were just moving, walking, bending over in some cases. But to just take it off and it sit there on a desk and just go off, that story never made any sense. Anyway, just some quick updates and talk on SIG M18 P320. That's it for now. Peace.